Hi everyone, this is Menz here. Going to be playing the Leopard tank here on Himmelsdorf. Now, it's mostly a tier 5 match here. There are a couple tier 6s, but going into this match, um, typically light tanks head up to the hill, and that's what I'm going to be doing. Now for this match, it's a ace tanker match. I also get a high caliber award, I believe, and also along with that, I get a Top Gun medal as well. Which for the Leopard, being a light tank, it's a pretty good feat when you do have a couple tier sixes and mostly fives in the match. But the Leopard, it's a pretty damn good tank. The gun on it has some pretty good pop, as long as you hit most of the burst rounds in the drum. It does have a pretty long reload between the drum, which if you're using this gun on a Leopard, which I think most people do, um, you need to definitely cover the reload. You don't want to be engaging a ton of tanks at one time because, after you splurt out your first, clip, you're going to have a pretty hefty reload to deal with. I believe it's like 16 seconds or so. But right now, it's just me and the T-67 with a couple slower tanks heading up on the hill. I don't know what we're going to encounter here. Looking at the enemy team, they don't have a whole lot of fast tanks, so really, I try to hit this Matilda here, but unfortunately, I always struggle with your shells reach to just about here, I believe. And sometimes I try to push it, and it doesn't get that, doesn't reach that far since they're very low caliber. Once I run across this Sherman 3, I'm like, shit, because this guy can out alpha me, and I'm gonna, start getting shot from over here, which is also a problem. But fortunately, I get him just within range and get a few shots on him there. Now, I do turn this way, kind of put this in between me and them, and I start moving back, and fortunately, I bounce that T-67's round. My first kill here. The AMX ELT just kind of sits out there. At this point, I'm like, alright, he gets freaking derped. And we get him, fortunately. And I'm like, we got the hill. There's nobody over here. And oh shit, there's a freaking BDR. Which, with my luck, it's pretty hard to penetrate that thing reliably from the front if you're, kind of running away from it. But I'm just gonna do my best to kind of keep him from shooting me while I reload here. I thought about pushing down to kill these guys. However, looking at the hill, we have an M3 Lee and an E2 that's not really paying attention. So I'm like, shit. If I don't kill this guy, he's gonna kill these, maybe get around, something like that. But fortunately, most of my shots land there. But at this point, our team, we're still pretty even. We're down a tank, but I'm not really liking our setup because right now we have a couple tanks over here that are kind of isolated, and we have a huge clump of tanks in one spot essentially. But unfortunately, leaving him at 34 HP, our E2 is running away from the BDR when I don't even know what they're doing now. Like, they both could have easily taken the BDR on. Instead, that's kind of my job. But fortunately, I tie it up there, only to fall back again because the enemy kind of realized that those tanks were out there on their own, and yep, we're gonna start having a slight problem for us here. Again, I kind of struggle with. It was just right at the edge of the distance that my shell can travel. But at this point, we're starting to fall behind. And we still have a group of heavies here, but that really doesn't matter much if they're getting flanked by 3-4 different directions. I do a quick little turnaround. This thing is very zippy, only because the Churchill, they're not capping. So the Churchill is going to most likely push this way, and I'm going to have pretty good shots on his side here. Which, fortunately for me, Churchill 3, I can penetrate the sides, because I did use some APCR. And I lose some credits this match from firing APCR. But fortunately for me, I can get another shot off on the Churchill before he's able to, you know, really do too much about me. But at this point, we're still a little bit behind, and the thing I'm gonna have to contend with is essentially not losing a lot of HP, because once you lose HP in this, you run into the problem of not being able to stay out long enough to get off your clip, and with that, that can be a little bit of a challenge, because you know it takes you a couple seconds to be able to get your shots off. But right there, I blew my HP. Fortunately for me, T67, you know, he missed me the first 1 or 2 times, and here this guy isn't able to hit me as well. Right now I'm at 5 kills. I do end up, I think, getting 1 more, but fortunately I was able to get those 2 tanks out, make it even. His M44, he's rushing this ST, and he's gonna be able to get this guy. He fortunately holds his shot to the last second, and you know, derps him in the face. The E2's still up on the hill with almost full HP, and yeah. But getting the, you know, the AMX out here, I was like, awesome, because he was really the only threat. We still have RD to worry about, which at this point, a lot of you guys who watch me live stream here on YouTube, you know, I'm kind of cursed when it comes to killing arty, especially if I come up close to them. I tend to always get shotguns, something like that. So at this point, I'm being a little bit careful, because right now it's just, I consider this match just us two. The E2, for whatever reason, isn't exactly functioning. I don't know if he's a bot or what, but you know, I'm just trying to bleed a little bit of speed here and let this M44 stay close enough to where if one of us gets taken out, the other's close enough to, you know, kill the arty before he reloads. But really at this point, I don't think we end up spotting the SPG. He's hidden somewhere. He's probably over in this area, but really I didn't want to take the chance of, you know, coming across him, dying, and then, you know, kind of having a domino effect. But all in all, this is a pretty fun match. I did my never mind, I forgot he actually starts capping, and he actually comes off to try to kill us, but a little bit too late. But you know, I did my best to cover my reloadedness, and really the Leopard, unless I'm against a ton of 7s and a decent amount of heavily armored 6s, I play it looking to get a good amount of damage in it. It's very good at spotting, but at the same time, the gun's good enough to where you can influence the match a whole lot. If, you know, being a tier 5 light, people don't expect you to get like, you know, 600, 800, 1000 damage, and if you do, pretty damn good for your team, and it gives you a decent advantage, you know, because you're outpacing, of course, if there's other tier 5 lights or just other tier 5s in general. But you know, Leopard's one of those tanks where it can do damage, it can of course scout, it has a little bit of armor sprinkled on it for a light, where if you angle it, you know, you can definitely get a couple bounces. So it's a damn good tank, in my opinion, once you get the, you know, the better guns on it. But anyway, moving on to the end game screens here. Got a Mastery Badge Ace Tanker match, High Caliber, Top Gun Award as well. Now looking at the next screen, you know, only the SG-100Y was close to me as far as damage on my team. Somehow the E2 slotted in at 3rd place. Guess he did a, you know, better job than I thought. And then of course the enemy team, T67's no surprise there, and the AMX-13 being an already and alive at the end, typically, you know, you're going to be up there in damage. And then the last screen here, I lose 25,000 for firing APCR. That's definitely going to do you in on tanks like this. Low caliber shell, autoloader, and, you know, you're going to blow like, I don't even know how many credits per clip for APCR. I think it's like 15 15,000 or something a clip, so it's pretty expensive. But 1,700 damage, nothing, you know, that leopards typically get in a match. This was probably my highest, I think, in a leopard so far. But you know, it can do that. It can do a pretty decent amount of damage unless you're against a bunch of higher tiers. And then not much in the assisted damage department, and I didn't block anything. I thought I had deflected one shell, but I guess not. But anyway, thanks for watching this replay here. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You can always catch me live streaming here on YouTube, you know, at least a couple days a week in the middle of summer, 4 days a week now in the fall and winter. Otherwise, hopefully, you know, you enjoyed this, and I'll see you around maybe on my stream or on another replay. Thanks for watching.